The sun was setting behind the dusty hills of my ranch as I stood on the edge of my property, my boots sinking into the soft earth. The breeze carried the faint scent of sagebrush, and I felt the weight of the land settle into my bones. For generations, this ranch had been in my family, a place where the rolling fields of alfalfa swayed in harmony with the land and the sky. But something had changed, something that couldn't be ignored. The quiet buzz of heavy machinery hummed in the distance, and as I looked across the horizon, I could see the construction crews tearing into the earth, laying down steel pipes that would carry water from my land straight through to a development I had never agreed to. I wasn't just angry, I was shaken, almost to the core. This wasn't just a dispute over land, it was a betrayal. And the people responsible? They had no idea who they were messing with. It all started a month ago when I received a letter from the HOA Homeowners Association of a neighboring development. They were notifying me about a new pipeline project that would run through my ranch, connecting their water supply to an expanding suburb just a few miles away. The letter was formal, full of jargon, and barely made any sense. The HOA said they had secured the necessary permits and were in the process of working with local authorities. It wasn't until I did some digging that I realized something: this pipeline wasn't just for any suburban community. This was about my water. You see, what they didn't know, or maybe they simply assumed it, was that I owned a company that supplies water to that very area. I had been running a water distribution business for nearly 2 decades. My company had contracts with the local municipalities and developers, including the HOA's project. In short, without my water, none of this would even be possible. Yet, they had made the mistake of assuming I was just some small-time rancher without the connections or resources to challenge them. The more I thought about it, the angrier I became. They had planned this project without consulting me, without even a word of courtesy. They simply bulldozed over my rights, treating my land as if it were a mere obstacle to their development. The audacity was infuriating. The next day, I drove to the site of the pipeline installation. My heart pounded in my chest as I approached the construction crews. There were no signs of the legal permits I should have been notified about, no consultation, no respect. As I walked up to the foreman, I took a deep breath. I wasn't just going to walk away this time, I was going to make sure they understood the gravity of their mistake. "Hey there," I said, my voice calm but carrying the weight of authority. "You're digging through my land." The foreman looked up, his face falling slightly when he saw the look in my eyes. He wiped the sweat from his forehead and scratched his head, clearly uncomfortable. "We've got permits, we were just doing our job." "Really?" I said, stepping closer. "Because I own a company that supplies the water you're trying to pipeline through here, and I didn't give you permission to put 1 foot on my land." The foreman's face paled. He was caught off guard, not expecting this level of confrontation. "Wait, you a broken bar? You're the owner of that water company?" I nodded, letting the truth hang in the air like a heavy storm cloud. "Yes, I am." "And you've made a grave mistake thinking I wouldn't notice." "The HOA didn't tell you, did they?" He swallowed hard, realizing how much trouble they were in. I wasn't about to back down. I had the power to stop the entire project, but more than that, I was going to use this as an opportunity to make things right, and not just for me, but for everyone who depended on my water and my land. "I'm going to have to shut down the project," I told him, my voice low but firm. "But instead of fighting it all the way through court, I'm going to offer you a solution. You can either negotiate with me and buy the water rights, or I'll pull all contracts from your development." "That means no water, no pipeline, no nothing." The foreman hesitated, clearly out of his depth. He wasn't just dealing with the landowner now, he was dealing with someone who knew the game inside and out. I wasn't going to let them trample over me. I gave them one chance to walk away without consequences, a chance to make things right before the lawyers and the media got involved. But the damage had already been done. Word spread quickly. The HOA didn't just learn about who I was, they learned the hard way that their actions came with consequences. In the days that followed, I met with the HOA board, and together, we came to an agreement that benefited Delverinia well. Everyone but the developers who thought they could steamroll me. I negotiated better terms for the land, ensuring that I was compensated fairly for the use of my water resources. In the end, the project moved forward, but under my terms, not theirs. It wasn't about the money up, it was about the principle. They had underestimated me, assumed I was just another rural rancher they could push around. But I had more power than they realized. I had the water they needed to survive, and I wasn't going to let them take it without paying the price. As I stood back on my land, looking out over the rolling fields, I realized something important. The land is always more than just dirt and grass. It's history, it's family, it's pride. And no, only whether they're in home, a corporation, or anyone else here has the right to take that from you without a fight. This wasn't just about saving my property, it was about showing that no matter where you come from or how small you might seem, you have the power to stand up for what's yours. Sometimes, all it takes is the courage to remind people who you are. And now, every time I see that pipeline snaking through my fields, I know they learned a lesson they won't soon forget.